The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My anniversary, I said, that's more important than sitting down having dinner with Ted Cruz.
Anything is more important.
So Ted Cruz is a good guy.
Okay, ready to start.
Yes, camera two.
Okay. In 8, 7, 6.
Hi, this is Ken Gidge, and this is the Art of Politics, the only show of its type. And factually, it is. There's another show way up, I think.
Who
in
cares
Plymouth
about that show? Let's
that
just talk
does
about
a
us.
Show. Shut up. There does a show similar to this, but it's not quite like this. It's where the great, good Democrats are
He's
and
a-
the bad Republicans.
He's a legend in his own
Here
mind.
we go. How are you,
How are
Al?
you?
How
Which-
are you,
what-
Al?
but while we start the show, we want people to understand right off the bat.
Yes.
Fiction, fact. Okay, now let's move
Fiction,
on.
fact.
Right.
Well, if they take a look
Yeah,
at you, they're going
that's
to know
right.
who's fiction.
Uh-huh.
All right, today is the day of 9/11, and let's start that up because you did a couple shows. And you're a military guy.
Yeah,
How do you want to start it off?
Well, I'll tell you, today, 9/11, and is a sad day to remember, and which everyone should remember because it's part of our history and something that we need to make sure never happens. But anyways, in my district, we had a ceremony put on by the American Legion. Matter of fact, Jeb Bush came over today, and Jeb Bush was
Okay.
there. But anyways, he read off, 3 pages of names. I read off front and back, 3 pages of names. And then I had to slide out, and he had to go out of there. And then I did a radio show, and we talked about 9/11. Matter of fact, with Colonel Gary Lambert, we did that radio show, and it went real good. And then all of a sudden, here I am with a liberal now, so.
Well, you've been a busy person.
Yeah,
today.
I have, and I tell you, it's always an honor to be invited to those 9/11 ceremonies.
Except for here. It's
Well,
not
yeah.
an honor.
Well, I enjoy here because
gotta
then,
show
then
up.
the people get to make the decision on their
On
own.
who's smarter.
Yeah, that's right. On who's smarter, they do a
Well-
Google search. You'll be surprised the ones that watch in my district. They say, "Al, that Ken Gidge is lost. He don't have a clue. He just throws things out there."
That's right. I'm very good at it,
That's
too.
what they tell me.
I got
Democrats too are saying it to me.
I got caught with Bill O'Brien one day. I mean, I'm putting this on, and he's listening, he's intentful, and all of a sudden he goes, "That's not true." And I go, "That's right." He says, "You made it up." I says, "Yes, I did." So anyway, I won't make things up. Where were you when you found out about 9/11?
I was in Delaware.
Where? Doing what? Exactly.
I was at my house there. I had relatives that were there visiting.
You lived in Delaware.
I lived in Delaware at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I was getting ready to move.
Move
to New Hampshire. Yes.
To buy the same
We
house
had already
you
bought
got?
the house, everything, and we
Okay.
were packing and getting everything done.
All right, so you were doing exactly what when you found out?
I was in my living room, was sitting down with family, and I had the
And
TV on.
The TV
and
was on?
TV was on. That's how we found out.
Okay.
Watching it on the TV. I watched the first plane that hit, because it went right to the, the news there we had. I mean, I was kind of shocked. It was unbelievable.
Well, the first one, everybody was going, well, it could have been by accident. The second one, then they knew. And I actually was sitting at a computer attempting to write a screenplay at the time. And I got a call from somebody, said, turn on your TV, and I turned it on, and that was it. I mean, it was just one of those times where at first nobody knew what was going on, and then they realized, well, the Pentagon was hit, and it looked like it was a plane coming towards the
Right.
White House, and the towers were hit twice. They thought this was it. So they had Bush up in the air. They got him up in the air, and
yeah.
he flew around for.
Well, he was at the school. I watched
Yeah.
on TV when Karl Rove
Yeah.
went in,
Yeah.
Andy Card, one of them, I don't remember.
Yeah, no,
Went in,
Card, I
yeah,
think.
Andy Card went
Yeah.
in, whispered in his ear, and he was very cool, calm, collected, just sat there, still continued with the kids. Because at that time, there's nothing you can do. You don't want to get everyone all nervous and everything. So naturally, he finished what he was doing, get up and left.
But they put him on a plane, and I guess that's one of the very few planes of its type that can be refueled in the air.
Right.
So they just kept him going
Well,
around.
well, I don't know if you're aware. We have in the Atlantic and the Pacific what they call the command post.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah,
can I go up in one of those planes? You
No,
were supposed
I have
to.
been up in them. I have
Then
been.
why
in one.
can't I?
Because you're an idiot. I mean, why would we want an idiot up there? I mean, let's be honest here. You have no clue.
No,
I bet you my buddy Dick is enjoying that one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Actually,
I didn't mean that.
because
You're an
I'm a state
idiot, yeah.
representative, I
No.
can go
No,
up.
actually, you can't.
Who don't-
You can't go on that plane. You have to
Excuse
have
me.
clearances on that plane.
Excuse me.
Now, unless
Campbell
you're-
went up on that.
Wait, now-
Campbell doesn't have
Now,
a
if you're talking the
clearance.
president's own plane, what you see, you don't listen
No,
to
no,
me.
I'm not talking to the plane. I'm talking about the refueling planes.
Oh, the refill. Yeah, I've been out with Campbell. We went together.
All right,
on
okay.
that.
I
Oh,
can go to that.
You didn't clarify that. Yes, you can. We were talking about the president's command center post planes.
You've been on that.
I've been on that. Yes.
You're not flying around?
Now let me finish.
Was the president there?
No, if you let me finish what I'm saying.
I'm not sure if I will.
In
But go
the,
ahead.
in the Atlantic Ocean and in the Pacific, you have SIMPAC and you have Pacific PAC, and you have naval admirals that are in charge, or depending at the time, Marine generals. I worked for SIMPAC, Commander in Chief of the Naval Pacific. The general I worked for was the operations, what they call the G3. He was the operations general. We had a command center plane that flew. One is in the sky 24
All the
hours
time.
in the Pacific and in the Atlantic.
Yes.
It's a command center. Now, the president, in
Command
case
center,
of
it
disaster,
has- it's the
the plane will lift, will take the president up there, and he will run, a command center
Anything
from
that he
the
wants,
sky.
correct.
Anywhere he goes. Right now, we have admirals and generals doing that. All the time. In case there's a bomb that blows up and then we lose the president, you have a command up in the sky already. And a lot of people don't realize that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So
yeah. I have heard of that.
And I was fortunate, and you have to have a top secret clearance
so you
or
got on
higher.
you flew in. it.
Yeah, I flew in with the general. We went to Japan, Okinawa, Yokosuka, Japan. We went to the Philippines, went to Korea. So every time we landed at a precise time,
Another one takes
another
off.
one was in the sky.
Yeah.
And once we went back in the sky with the
one
operations
came
general,
down.
the other one landed. So I mean, and that goes, like I said, it's an
No,
awesome
it's a
program.
big plane. So that when you say command center, it must be all computer.
All
banks of
computers. You got
and-
people sitting there monitoring stuff there, with their headphones and everything, and just that's all they're doing.
Very quiet.
Yeah,
And,
Yep, no, you don't hear too much. You can hear a pin drop, unless the general we're talking. We have a little area we can sit and everything with a table, and so it's nice. I enjoyed it. I did a lot of shopping when I was over there.
oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm going back, talking 77 to 80, 1980, when I was in Hawaii, when I was on that staff as a young Marines, sergeant. But
But
just
no, the fueling, from what I understand, you and Campbell did go up now.
yes,
The refueling
I've gone up quite a few
plane-
times on that.
Okay, the refueling plane is a big
Right
gas.
Right now, it's a 130 or C 131.
big gas tank,
Yes,
really,
it's a
what it
big,
is. Filled. All right.
It's in
so,
the belly of the plane,
Yeah.
but you can also haul equipment in there, or you can put bigger bladders if you wanted to set up a FOP site, forward aerial refueling point.
Yeah.
You drop these big bladder tanks into a certain area, and then the plane takes off, and they can refuel helicopters for those
Oh, I see.
forward sites. Or they can planes when they're in the sky. The tail comes down, and the plane comes in and sucks it right into their little tail that's on the top. I don't know the name of the nomenclature. you know, of them. I've been
But
out.
you guys were there and you looked down and you watched it
You
happen.
can watch. There's a hole there, and you can watch them. You can look right in the pilot's eyes there. It's awesome.
You mean, but I can do that?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, if you want next year when we go.
What do you mean
I'll-
next year?
Yeah, because we probably won't do it till sometime next year.
Why?
Um,
Why can't I go now?
Because you have to wait until they set a trip up, the Air National Guard. And normally it's
Well,
my
it's the
committee.
Air National Guard.
Dave was invited by us, my committee,
Okay,
because Dave
all
is
right.
friends with us.
All right, okay.
So
all
we
right.
took Dave along. Then we went into New York and we watched the Army National Guard, New Hampshire. They were trained. They were shooting off the new missiles they had that are on the back of these big, like they call Dragon Wagon type vehicles.
Dragon wagon.
They're called big tractor trailers.
Okay.
And they shoot off the missiles.
All right.
You know how we have artillery pieces like
Right,
the
right,
198s?
right.
Well, there's a name for them, and I can't even think what they call them, but they're unbelievable. You know, and they can shoot off like 12 of them. Boom, 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 boom.
So in other words, but they're long range. I
Long
take
range,
it?
yeah.
Okay, so in other words, you can drive the trucks around
You
anywhere.
drive them around, you know, because when you're in the battlefield there, the enemy, if they have the technology, once a trigger goes off or a round comes out of the chamber, you know, in these missiles, they can identify where that was shot.
Yes.
So the main thing with artillery pieces like that are shoot, move, and communicate. You know what I mean? Shoot, move, communicate your next location, shoot again, move. So that way there, they can't pinpoint and target where you're shooting from.
Wow.
And we have that technology, you know, also we can
Well,
identify.
the Russians have it also.
Well, yeah, the Russians do. But you want to know something? When we took on Iraq, Iraq had all Russian equipment. They were buying all their brand new stuff, everything. You know, they make it sound like they're good. They just have a lot of people, a lot of equipment, but they're useless. We proved their tanks were useless in Iraq. We went nose to nose with them, and we tore them up. Their
Yeah,
brand new
but
tanks.
you want to know something?
What's the but?
Yeah, well, the but was that we didn't belong in Iraq anyway. So what the hell's the
We'll agree to
difference?
disagree.
Oh, you would.
Because that guy was
Oh,
paying
you
$25,000
agree. Oh, you know something. You
to
know
blow
something.
up.
Hey, you know
How
something.
many Americans did we
You
lose
want to know?
by those
It
bombers?
has already,
You know, some-
historically, all historians have said now and always will be, the Iraq War was worse than Vietnam.
How?
It was awful.
It wasn't worse than
It was
Vietnam.
terrible.
Vietnam, I
Why
think,
the
was.
hell did we
You know
get
something?
involved with that?
You know something? You're watching too
it's
much
typical
TV.
Republicans.
You know something?
Yeah,
You're
I
a typical
know.
liberal.
Dear old Bush.
Sit around the table and sing Kumbaya. You know what I mean? That's all you want. Let's hold hands.
Singing
You know-
Kumbaya.
you know some-
I
in-
don't
hey,
sing
listen,
Kumbaya.
in-
Wait a minute, that's a military thing.
No, yeah, that's what we say with the liberals.
All right,
singing, yeah.
okay.
But let
All
me
right,
let me tell you
so I'm
something.
a liberal?
Hey, listen, you
So we
watch
should've gone
TV
in Iraq.
You watch, yeah, I believe we should have.
4,500 people
You will
lost.
never let me finish
We
my reason
should've-
why.
All right, go
No,
ahead.
no, we did not lose.
We lost 4,500 people in Iraq.
In Iraq.
Yes. What are you looking at
Wait a
me
minute.
strange for?
4,500 people. I'm talking Desert Storm. Now we're in Iraq. Okay. Where I was.
Excuse me.
I was in
Excuse me.
Desert Storm. What
I
did
said
you say?
Iraq.
Now Iraq.
You said Desert Storm.
I went in. Right. We kicked them in out of Kuwait
okay,
into Iraq.
Desert Storm was
okay.
nothing.
Now, right.
Desert Storm is
Now,
nothing. 100-hour war.
We lost. We lost more under Obama than we did under Bush. Did you know that?
No, that's not
Look at the
true.
numbers.
That's not true.
Look at the numbers.
No, he didn't start the war, first of all. His
Rules
daughter
of
kinda died.
engagement. Obama took away from our veterans.
You know something? You
Do
guys.
you know what rules of engagement
You
is?
guys are absolutely
You know some-
nuts.
do
Really,
you-
financially,
Do
the
you
statistics have come out, and guess what? More jobs, more people going back to work, higher pays, best since 10 years.
Higher pays?
And you guys
Where are you
turn
getting this
around,
information?
And Obama is terrible.
Where are you getting this information?
Obama is what?
Wait a minute, hold it.
No good.
Wait a minute.
Obama is one of the better presidents history is going to show
You know
we've
something?
ever had.
You throw out more BS, okay? Do a search on these people that are paying, that they raised the minimum wage to 15. Look what's happening to the small businesses.
And what has happened with the
A
small
lot of them are
businesses?
going out of business.
Really? Name one.
I'll tell you, you keep talking, I'll find it.
All
You
right,
keep talking and I'll find it.
Ladies and gentlemen, what this guy would like is us all to go to do what Kansas did is they had a Republican governor, Republican Senate, Republican House. And do you know that an almost bankrupt Kansas, the entire Kansas, in fact, Kansas was so bad that all the Republicans said, this is so good, we're going to do exactly what Kansas is doing because this is the way to do it. We're going to get more people in there. Almost bankrupt Kansas. As a matter of fact, one of the guys running for the presidency took a lot of what Kansas did, turns around and he added to the sales tax. Guess what? Gee, that makes no sense.
You throw out more BS. I don't know where you
Thank
come
you
up with
very
this stuff.
much.
Are you grabbing stuff out of the sky? Are you a legend in your own mind? Is that what you are? You know?
You know, you guys with Obama, that's you just don't get it. You know, and Republican voters are not stupid. They're smart. And even the Republican
I'm
voters
shocked you said that. It's about time you realized
that the best thing that's ever happened in this country has been Obama. Not the worst thing. The worst thing that has happened in this country was Bush. And now we got another Bush running.
Okay, more Seattle restaurants close doors as $15 minimum wage. Okay, that's
many?
That's in the Seattle. No, it just says more. I'm not going to read the whole article.
Well, no. Well, how many?
You know, huh?
How many?
Now you want me to research more? We're going to tie
Seattle.
up. I'm saying do a Google search on Seattle
Okay.
restaurants.
All right, hold on.
Right here.
How much were they making?
15. They're saying they raised it to $15 an hour.
$15
now,
an hour,
I'm going to tell you,
okay.
as a former family-owned business, restaurant and sports bar. Okay, there's times we didn't even take a paycheck when you were, unless you're a big conglomerate, you know, like a, 99 or corporate, big corporate where they got hundreds. It's a different ballgame. They got a lot of money to keep alive. A small business cannot survive.
Well, at 30
Here,
hours.
right here.
At
Look
30 hours.
So you know I'm not BSing you. Seattle, 50 minimum wage law goes into effect on April 2000. The date approaches. Restaurants across the city are making the financial decision to close shop.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Right here.
Hold on.
They can't afford it.
Where's the closed shop?
Right there.
I don't see closed
Right
shop.
above that where I highlighted.
Well, why don't
I
you-
highlighted it for
All right,
you.
wait a minute.
Are you blind?
Wait a minute. Financially decision to close shops are making the financial decision
Right.
to close. They're not closed the shop.
Because
you said they were
no,
closed.
they are.
They're not closing.
There's another site there.
They're
Yes,
not closing.
Yes, they are.
All right, okay.
Yes,
How
they
much
are.
were they making before?
Yes, they are.
How much were they making
You know,
before?
you're asking the most stupid
How
questions in the world.
much were they making before?
Wait. You asked the most stupid questions. Do I do their finances? How do I know? Do you know? All I know is I can say as a former business owner with my kids there, okay, I know what it is. It's tough when you're
Really?
paying a wage
Really?
there.
Okay, all right.
How do you stay competitive with a 99?
Hold on a second.
you're a small
How
business.
much were they paying these people originally?
Probably $6, $7, $8 an hour.
$6, $7, $8 an hour. Really?
You know something?
$8 an hour.
You're cleaning tables, but they're probably making hundreds of dollars in tips that they're not claiming.
That's not true. That's
no,
not
it is true.
No, that's not true.
It is true.
Dishwashers don't make tips.
No, but they get
Dishwashers
shared,
don't make
but
tips.
they do get shared
No,
tips
they
from
do
the.
not.
Oh,
No,
come on,
they
will
do
ya?
not.
The restaurant
No,
we had.
they do not.
Now you were a Democrat.
Dishwashers
Wait.
never made tips.
You were a Democrat. Your
Excuse
people
me,
never probably
I
shared.
owned a bar.
That's why I'm saying. Like I said, you were a
The
Democrat.
bartender and in the cocktail waitresses, they shared. Nobody shared in the kitchen.
Our waitresses, because the kitchen people would come out, the busboys that did the dishes
Oh, well,
also.
that's different.
No, they did the dishes
That's
also.
different.
The busboy in
I
our
know, but that's
restaurant.
different.
But they did the dishes.
That's
What don't you understand? What am I talking to, a rock with lips? You know what I'm saying? Don't you get it?
You know, Al.
I come here for an hour
I-
to get aggravated
I-
on your BS here. You know?
Al, I love you, but you guys.
But
with
I showed you.
Obama is, you're crazy. You know what you're trying to sell to the people out there who are listening.
Fact.
That they're getting paid $15 an hour.
You want to pay somebody to sweep the floor $15 an hour?
Are you telling me?
They're
Are
making
you
more than that.
telling me they were only making $6 or $7, so they got a $9 raise?
Because they're also getting, many of them are
Excuse
also
me.
getting tips.
No.
Whatever the minimum
No.
wage is, it's not even
All right,
6.
okay.
Whatever minimum wage.
Let me see. How
$7.50.
much tips do the people at
You know,
Wendy's get?
No, wait.
How about
Wait. I can tell
McDonald's?
you from my experience.
How many
Let me
tips
tell you
do
from
they
my-
get? No, wait. How much do they get for tips?
You know something? Do I maintain the finances in those restaurants? You ask the most stupid questions
no,
to get people
no,
thinking something
no,
different.
No. The people who work at these restaurants don't get any tips at all.
At the fast
None
food.
at all. Well, where do you think that counts?
Let me run something by you.
$15 an hour?
If
And no one ever works
if
40
you got,
hours.
If you got 5 people working the counter, 4 people working the counter,
Yes.
okay, and you go from $7.50 an hour to 15. All you're doing is taking their order.
Let's do 8.
Okay, you're taking their order.
All right.
Now that means, how does the restaurant survive? They got to raise their prices. How do you stay competitive with other big businesses? A small mom and pop restaurant. Wendy's can probably afford that. McDonald's.
You know something? You know
But
what
they
the-
gotta raise their
do you know-
costs.
Do you know what the problem with your thinking is?
What's the
what
problem?
you just said.
What's the problem?
Small businesses can't run paying $15 an hour.
They can't stay competitive.
You tell me, how can a person live with $7 an hour?
You know something?
How?
You want to know
No,
something?
no, you tell me. No, no, no.
I can tell you.
You tell me
Okay,
how somebody
now
can.
shut your mouth and let me say it. Now shut your mouth.
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay?
Okay.
Those businesses, those small businesses, if you're making $7.50 an hour, you know, don't you think that you should in your mind think that this is not a career job, that this is something for school students, for other people, maybe a second job, for mom waiting for the kids to come home from school? It's not a career. You want to pay $15, $20 an hour for a sweeper.
So, in other words, a person cannot live on $7 or $8 an hour, period. This has to be a second job, or this must be just for kids. Is that correct?
I'm saying if there's two family, yeah, then it's extra money. It's pocket money for somebody.
Oh, I see.
You know,
So
it's not a
nobody
career.
can live on that, though.
It's not. You see, you want people to
No,
stay. In, you
excuse me.
want people to stay in
Are-
that business.
Are you
and do-
under the impression that some people don't think working at these places are going to turn into a career?
I'm saying.
No, you know, that's how you
You know
feel?
something. This is how Democrats win elections. You keep people down in these little jobs. You want to raise their salary so they stay in those jobs instead of getting educated. Instead of saying, I want to make more money. I want to take advantage of the American
Excuse me.
dream.
And is this how the Republicans get, is to keep the people down?
No, we want them to get up. We want them educated.
Oh, okay. So why don't you just pay them less than $7 an hour so they
know
won't stay
something?
there that long?
You know
They might
something?
only stay
You
4 or
know, you're
5 hours.
You look at Demuller's. Demuller's pay $7.58.
Demuller's.
Demuller's, okay?
Yeah.
Market Basket. They pay $7.58 and then they give raise as they, produce.
Yes.
If they produce.
Raises.
The same thing with these other
Raises.
businesses. If you got somebody working hard, they're not making minimum wage.
You know something?
You know, you're an idiot.
You can't.
Are you that smart? He's
You
a
know,
rock
you
with
can't-
lips. Just keeps running his lips, no thinking.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, if you watch his show, you know I don't usually let him do this.
He
but I'm
has
just
no
being,
choice.
I'm
He
being-
has no choice.
I'm being kind today.
Yeah, okay.
You
What,
got
are
me.
you
You got
tired?
me. My biorhythms say I'm low
You know,
intellect today.
you liberals want people in these jobs for the rest of their life. We want them to get educated. We want them to, like my daughter. My daughter was working a job while she was in college, making $7.58 an hour. But now she's making over $55,000 in it. She got her ed degree, plus benefits and commissions.
And how about the people who don't go to college?
But I'm saying those people
How
that don't
about the
go to
people who don't go to college?
we got programs to help them.
Oh,
and
I
get them.
see.
Why
I
wouldn't
see.
you want to teach these
Excuse
people?
Excuse me. Statistically, these businesses that you're talking about, okay, now we're talking
Mm-hmm. Right.
about the McDonald's, etc., are making so much money that when it comes down to paying somebody 50, now let's say
Mm-hmm.
10 or 12, not 15, because it's usually 10 or $12.
Yeah.
If you really want to know if they're paying them $8 an hour and they're only working 20 hours a week, and you give them 12, which is $4 more, right? So 4 times that is what? $80 extra a week.
Okay.
All right, $80 extra a
But
week.
if they're-
Is that going to drive a business down, or is that going to help an
Okay.
individual with that extra money spend more money
Now,
instead of going
you
to
have
programs?
if
to
you're a
get-
small mom and pop
can you-
restaurant,
can
you
you-
have to raise
Can
your
you
prices.
imagine?
What don't you understand?
Can you imagine working at a place like that and
know-
then having to go to a food pantry? I work at McDonald's. I don't make enough money.
You know,
I got to go to a food pantry.
My understanding, McDonald's there, they pay pretty good there is for their management and other stuff. My understanding is if you start here low, you move up, you make more money.
Well, what have I just been
Okay,
saying? But
but
you
I'm
just
saying-
said it's just a part-time
But no,
job.
but
Why
some of
don't
them.
you shut up?
But some of them do move up.
You're a pig with
no.
lips.
But what I'm saying is some of them do move up into management, but not all.
Well,
But why wouldn't we want to push our young kids into
you know,
work there to
you
make
know,
some spending money
you know
and
something.
get educated?
Why are we the greatest country in the world? We don't
Mm-hmm.
insure the people we have working. The greatest country in the world, where in every other country they make sure, and this is true too, Europe, etc. They make sure that whatever business you get into, you get a 2-week paid vacation. If you work, the 365, you get 2 weeks paid. This is the only country in the world that doesn't give paid vacations anymore. It's the only country in the world that doesn't pay insurance anymore. And you want to know something, Obamacare? Thank God for Obamacare. All the people would have no insurance. That's okay with you. You don't want to pay for expanded Medicaid.
Okay.
40,000
Let me-
people are going to
let me
go
run
off
something by-
insurance in New Hampshire. I got a question.
Okay.
40,000 people with no insurance in New Hampshire.
Give it a break.
What are
with
you
that. We're
going to
not
do?
even at 40,000.
What are you going to do?
You know, these people are working and everything else on Medicaid expansion. Give it a
Oh,
break.
I see.
Give it a break.
So
They were-
Medicaid expansion is really easy to get on, right?
Do you want it? Yes, Medicaid.
No, it's
yes, it
not.
is. You're wrong.
Medicaid
You're
expansion
wrong.
is
You're
not
wrong.
easy to get on.
Medicaid itself is
You
for low
don't
income.
even
No, I
know
do.
what it takes to get on Medicaid.
You don't know because it didn't even go to your committee. You don't know. Medicaid is
Well,
for low-income people.
if you-
Medicaid
Okay, wait,
expansion is at the minimum of $38,000 per year. On a family, it's like $63,000 you could be making.
That's a lie.
Give it a-
That's a lie.
Oh, Jesus.
You got your computer?
You know,
Look it up.
You know, you got
Look
your
it up.
phone.
That's
look
a
it
lie.
Up. You got your phone. Show me I'm wrong. You show me I'm wrong.
I'm not
You
doing it.
show
No,
me.
no.
Okay? If you look at the
you
HUD.
made a statement.
No, no.
You prove it.
You wanna know
That's
why?
a
You
lie.
wanna know why I made this?
60-something
Oh, Jesus,
thousand
here we
dollars a
go
year for a
again.
family of what? 4?
You know, here
We'll
we
say
go
a 4?
again.
All right.
Here we
He's
go
saying
again.
$63,000 a year. You can get on Medicaid expansion.
Medicaid expansion.
That is not the truth.
I will bet you
That is
another
not
lunch.
true.
You already owe me 3. Okay? Listen to me.
I'll bet you
Triple or nothing.
$100 to your favorite charity, which is the Kenny Fund, I hope.
You're on.
All right, I'm
You're
on. Okay, so it's a family of 4, $63,000 a year, and you still can get on Medicaid expansion.
Yes.
Here we go.
You can wait.
Come
listen
on.
to me now. You can
Oh, I
wait.
see.
Listen to
I
me.
see.
No,
Go
I'm not
ahead.
done yet. You can let me finish
Get
now.
your fingers away
let
from
me
me.
finish with the.
Because I thought you did your nails.
With
Look
the
at them. They're all
prerequisites are.
dirty in there.
I
What
know
the hell
because
are
I
you
was
doing?
working in the yard. Let me put the.
You work? You have your
you know,
wife work.
No, we
Your
both. do.
wife would rather
my,
do that.
My wife and I are a team. Don't try to change the subject here. Get my mind.
Don't try to
now,
change
listen,
my subject.
Listen.
You don't have a subject.
Listen to what I'm going to
You're
try
not
to tell you.
good
and
enough
then
to
I'm
have
going
a
to bet you. I
subject.
want you to understand the
You-
prerequisites for Medicaid expansion.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready?
You can own a home.
You can own a home.
You can own a Cadillac.
You can own a Cadillac.
You can own stock.
You can own stock.
But you can have so much money coming in through that stock and other and still qualify for Medicaid expansion. You cannot qualify
How
with
much
all
you wanna
that for
bet?
Medicaid.
How much you want to bet?
$100.
All right. but wait a
$100 to the
minute.
charity.
Okay, hold on.
$100.
Wait a minute.
No, $100.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. A family, hold on a second. Ladies and gentlemen, a family of 4 can be making $63,000 a year and still get on
I'm gonna
Medicaid
show you.
expansion. Is that
I
correct?
don't want to take your money
Take
here.
it. Come on.
Okay, you're
All right,
on.
there we go. $100.
Okay.
What's your favorite
And-
charity?
My favorite is the Liberty, the homeless veterans.
All right, homeless veterans.
What's yours?
I'm for Goodwill.
In New-
All right, Salvation Army.
You need all the goodwill you can get.
That's right.
In New
You need
Hampshire.
all the Salvation Armies you can get too. Here we go. I'll tell you what, this guy's really nuts. How do we start off with 9/11 and this is where we end up? All the time it's the same. He doesn't like Obama. It doesn't make any difference what Obama does. It doesn't make any difference if people are now getting jobs, higher jobs, being paid more. It doesn't make any difference if what? The unemployment goes down. Obama is the worst thing that has ever happened to the state of the world. This is what the Republicans say. Nothing is good. And you want to vote for a Republican politician? I don't think so. But he keeps winning. You keep winning?
I do every time.
Top
Because the
vote
peop-
getter.
Because the people know I'm
And
honest.
guess what, ladies
The-
and gentlemen? I can't get in a newspaper if I run over a nun. He turns around and gets in a Wall Street Journal for doing what? What did you get in the Wall Street Journal for?
Because what happened is there was an article there because I endorsed Donald Trump.
Oh,
Okay? Now,
it's
it's been well, let me put it this way.
That?
How can I support
How could
wait,
you do
listen to
that?
me. How can I support a socialist or a liar?
A socialist?
Who's a treason?
Who's a
Hillary-
socialist?
Oh, you got Sanders on the Democrat side and you got Hillary who should be tried for treason.
Right. She's
Okay?
so
now,
bad.
Here you go. 138%. New Hampshire, 138% of the poverty. Let me see what that number is here. Okay?
183% of
Now
what?
look at the other states.
Of what?
Okay?
What's 183%?
Wait a minute, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good. You mentioned
Okay?
it. What is it?
On the childless adults, it's 138. Let me break this down here
Yeah,
on the
well,
cost.
no, break it down like
Okay.
money-wise.
I am. I'm going to find the money.
See, you're going to,
Okay.
$100, get ready, Salvation Army, you're going to have $100.
Let me click
Let me
on.
tell
Let me
you
see if I
something
can click
right
on
now.
New Hampshire.
This is absolutely, I'm telling you. How do we start on 9/11 and end up
I'm
with
telling
this?
you, you're totally wrong.
I am not totally
Medicaid
wrong.
expansion is a BS program that people were working, making good money, but they were borderline and they qualify for this. But Medicaid, okay, not expansion, is for low income, just like the children's insurance we have, just like the catastrophic aid we have for the state. You're on Commerce and you have no clue.
You
I
done?
love
Are you
going at it
done?
with him. Yeah, I'm done.
You're done.
I get aggravated
Look,
because don't you
know-
realize I
to-
go to all
you
these
know,
hearings.
To use this, you've got to turn it on.
It is on.
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
not.
Here we go. Okay.
Oh, how do we
I
end
go
up-
to all these
You know
hearings.
something? We here in Nashua, if the Republican politicians has their way, which may come a lot sooner than people think, 2,993, 92, or 96 people in the city of Nashua are going to lose their insurance. That's the city of Nashua losing their insurance because of the Republican politicians. You remember this now, because this is really, really important. They will
Okay.
not finance it. They're going to lose the insurance. And you know what's going to happen here in Nashua? We're going to be in probably one of the worst
If
times
your
in the
yearly
city of
income
Nashua.
is between 15,730 and 62,920, you may qualify for lower premiums on the market. No, that's
Excuse me,
insurance. Oh, wait a minute.
excuse me.
Wait a minute, hold it.
Oh.
Wait a minute. That's
You
for the
made a
insurance.
mistake.
No, that's for insurance.
You made a
Okay,
mistake.
Here we go. We said a parents with 2 kids. If your year, I was just talking 2 people, mother and father.
No, we're talking
We're
two
talking
kids.
with kids, two kids,
okay.
right? If you're right here, read it now.
right,
read
read-
that
go
right
ahead,
there.
go ahead.
If there are 4 people in your household,
Yep.
if your yearly income is between 23,850 and I was wrong, I apologize, and 95,400, you may qualify for lower premiums.
Excuse me.
Okay?
Excuse
If
me,
you got
excuse me.
5, it's
Medicaid
expansion.
expansion.
Right, expansion.
And you're going to get
Because
lower
there's still a cost.
premiums.
There's still a
no,
cost in
Medicaid
there, you know?
expansion, you don't have a cost.
Okay.
That's because you're
Now-
low income. How did you get up to 94,000?
I'm in healthcare.gov. Okay, that's where I'm at. Incomes that qualify for lower cost
Okay, wait,
insurance.
does it say Medicaid expansion?
That's what I'm trying to find here.
Yeah, you can't find
here,
it.
apply for Medicaid. Yeah, right here.
All right, what does
apply.
it say?
It's telling you apply
What
for
does it say?
Medicaid. If your state isn't expanding Medicaid, be sure to apply for Medicaid anyways. This is the stuff
Okay,
right
no,
here.
no, wait,
You
wait.
didn't listen to
yes,
me.
but you're not saying what it is.
Medicaid expansion.
Yeah, what's the prices? That's what we're arguing about.
You know something? I just read it to you.
No, you did
Look
not.
Here it is right
You
here.
did not.
Look.
You told me they pay less. On Medicaid expansion, they don't pay anything. Oh, you got that already. He's already running.
Okay. I don't know if the camera can see this here. I'm going to blow it
No,
up.
the camera can't
This
see it.
here is on Medicaid expansion here. It's an accessible chart for lower costs. Now,
Wait, okay,
it goes in
whoa,
there.
whoa, whoa,
wait,
whoa, whoa.
if you are the only person in your household, then your income is between 11,670 and 46,680. One person. I don't know why
Okay,
you
wait,
don't.
wait, wait,
It's
wait.
in black and
okay,
white.
hold on a second. You may, okay? What's this? If
you're
your
wrong.
yearly
Why don't you
income
say that I'm
between
wrong?
11 and 29,000.
Yeah, okay, that's just for one. We're talking 2 kids now. Let's go to 2 kids. If there are 2 people in your household, if there are 3 people, if there are 4 people, up to 95,400. I was wrong.
Well,
This is Medicaid
let's see
expansion.
it.
No, I'm not
it's,
giving
no,
you my
it-
computer.
No, it's not. You won't let me take a look at it.
No, because you'll
All
get
right.
rid of it. That's
if
how you are.
anybody believes this man that you could make $95,000 and
Please.
you can still get Medicaid expansion.
What to do?
You know what he's telling you? You know what he's telling? Let me tell you what he's telling you. He's talking about insurance.
No, I'm
he's
not.
taught. Yes, you are.
Incomes that qualify for lower cost accessible
Lower
child.
cost.
Okay, look right there. If your
It's
state
not.
isn't expanding Medicaid, be sure to apply for Medicaid anyway. You may qualify under your state's current rules. Then it gives all the
Excuse me,
prerequisites.
excuse me.
Go to My Health.
Okay, hold on a second.
Healthcare.gov.
Whoa. Are you talking about
Look
New
at-
Hampshire?
right here.
I know, but you talking about
Yeah,
New Hampshire?
this is the whole country.
No.
You know
It says
some-
your area.
Right.
And if you're not going to finance it, nobody's getting nothing.
No, we did finance Medicaid. It's the government that's paying for it, the
Expansion.
federal government.
You know
The
something?
federal government. Why can't you admit you're wrong?
I'll tell you.
Why can't you
I'll-
ever
I'll
admit
tell
you're
what.
wrong?
I'll tell you what. When you guys don't finance this, and
Yeah.
2,000, almost 3,000 people in the
Are
city
you-
of Nashville
are you wrong?
lose their insurance.
Here,
You're wrong. Lose
here's
their
my
insurance.
computer.
And guess
Here,
what?
Look yourself.
Guess what?
Am I wrong?
Then I'm going to suggest
Don't play-
that
be
you
careful,
don't
don't break my
vote for
computer.
Al
Don't touch my
Baldessaro.
computer. Don't break it. Look at-
3,000
Look
people.
right there. Medicaid expansion. Look right there. Medicaid, okay, expansion.
Medicaid anywhere.
Okay,
Apply
right.
for Medicaid anywhere if you don't have it. If
Yeah,
you're the
but
only
this is
one
on
person.
Medicaid expansion. Those are prerequisites. I'm telling you right now.
No.
I went to every
no,
hearing.
No, excuse me. If you
know something?
do what?
You know something?
If you
don't give the
qualify.
BS. Don't give the BS. You
Is
do.
it New Hampshire the hardest
Did
to
you not
qualify?
understand what I said? I went to every hearing
no,
on
you
Medicaid
don't-
expansion.
no, you have
Yes, I
not. No,
did.
you haven't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
I went to the
You
hearings.
did not.
Okay.
You did.
All right.
All right.
I didn't see you there. That's why you would know. Okay? And it
All
didn't
right.
even go to
you
your
know,
committee.
You know, I'm laughing, but this is not funny. The simple fact of the matter is this is what Republicans do, ladies and gentlemen. They will make comments like this that
But I
are
showed you the
absolutely
facts.
not. No, it's not factual.
You're
That's
gonna
not
tell me
factual.
the-
I win. Give me the $100. I'm going to give it to the...
Healthcare.gov. Go to that page there and you tell me if I'm wrong. Look under Medicaid expansion because the cost is the same, the plan for every state. Okay, on
It's
Medicaid
not
expansion.
the same
Now,
in every
Medicaid
state.
is a little different because states can add in certain mandates. Medicaid expansion came out from the federal government. And you should, no, wait, you won't know that. That's right. It didn't go to your committee, your commerce. I forgot. They didn't trust you to make that decision. Your speaker, Norelli, Democrat.
Look, I'll tell you what. You guys...
I just proved you wrong. You won't
You
accept it.
guys will turn around. The Republicans will turn around, and no matter how good the economy is getting and got better, you guys say it's bad. When the government has
You know
come in
some-
and said, we will give you 3 years, it'll cost you nothing just to get everyone insured, they let this go for 1 year and a half. In other words,
You know
for a
some-
year and a half, people out there could have had insurance, but because of the Republican politicians made it illegal for us to form an insurance exchange, you lost.
No, they didn't.
The people
No,
have
they
lost.
didn't.
The people of Nashville lost.
no, they did
The
not.
hospitals lost.
No, they didn't.
The nurses
Obamacare
lost.
was so screwed up.
Everything
No, they didn't.
lost because
Obamacare-
you
know
guys
something?
wouldn't sign on to it.
You
So
guys-
we lost all that insurance,
what
and now
makes-
you want to take
you know
it
what
away.
makes me laugh? You liberals there will never accept fault on what Obama did under the ACA. You will never take
Yeah,
fault
yeah.
that
Oh,
you
yeah.
keep your doctor. You will never take fault that you zero
You-
cost
you know,
and we're $120 million in the hole.
You know, this is a bad subject for you and I to get onto.
Right, because you
No,
give BS. I
no,
don't.
no. You're right. Obama did say you can keep your own doctor.
Shaheen too,
Shaheen too.
on the floor.
And then
Mhm.
the Republican politicians made it illegal
No,
to
we
form an insurance exchange.
In New Hampshire, because we didn't want to spend the
let
taxpayers'
let
money.
me finish.
Go
You
ahead.
made it illegal.
And I support it.
And you want to know something?
Mm-hmm.
An insurance company comes along, goes to the federal government, and says, okay, we'll set it up. So the federal government says, okay, if no one else wants to do it, they'll do it. The first thing they came in and is they got rid of 10 hospitals. And one of the hospitals they got rid of, now this is an insurance company, got rid of was Southern Regional.
You know something?
That means if you were going to Southern Regional, that means if your doctor was from Southern Regional, it was the Republicans that took your doctor and your hospital away, and they're turning around and blaming it on
You
Obama.
want to know something? He
Don't
just
do
gave-
that.
you
That's
just-
awful.
You just gave them a bunch of BS. Do a Google search and see if there's a medical or insurance exchange in New Hampshire. There's not one. We didn't put it in. The insurance company has not one. And you got to go to Obamacare to the federal government. Why should the state pay $28 million or $300,000 million?
Excuse me.
$300 million
And
for,
that's
for a
right.
website?
And why should
Okay, you're
40,000
not being
people
honest.
be without insurance? Thank
Ken,
you to the
Ken,
Republican
you know why?
politicians.
Once a week I come here and get aggravated because you don't tell the truth. Okay? The insurance company did not put a medical an insurance exchange up. We do not have one. We made it illegal
No.
because we felt we should not steal from the taxpayers.
No. You didn't steal from the
You have to pay for
You
it.
took away their doctors and their hospitals.
No,
you didn't
we
steal
didn't.
from them.
Why can't
You didn't steal from
You
them.
Democrats don't get it.
No.
No,
No.
Obamacare.
I get it.
No, I don't think you
You
do.
don't get it.
I don't think you do.
I was
You know
there
some-
and fought against
know
this.
some-
And you
no,
want to
you
know what
weren't. No,
O'Brien said right there?
you
You
know
know what he
some-
told me? He
Ken, you're
said,
not-
first of all, it's 3 million.
Ken,
Then it was 30 million.
you're not being
and now
honest.
it's 300
Ken,
million.
you're
You
not-
guys don't know
Ken,
your numbers.
Ken, you're not being honest. You were there to fight for it. I didn't see you at one hearing. It
Excuse
didn't
me,
even go to your
excuse me,
committee.
excuse me.
It didn't go to your
It
committee.
came
You're
through
not
our
be- no, it
committee
didn't.
about the insurance exchange. Yes, it did.
Oh,
It came through our
Come
committee.
on, where you, the
Yes,
insurance, how
it
about the
came
how about
through our
Medicaid
committee.
expansion? How about, all that? It went to the finance
Excuse me.
committee.
This would not
Okay.
even be an issue. And you want to know something, ladies and gentlemen? Because we don't have, and this is going to really be good, because they didn't let us form an insurance exchange. Pretty soon, those people who are getting a little extra money from the federal government to pay for their insurance, that's going to be taken away from them
Okay.
because we don't have an insurance exchange.
Now, what I'm going to say here to everyone here, and I want you to give me a second to say this. I was at the State House yesterday. There's going to be an end of September surprise that's going to be coming out.
Oh, what is it?
The Governor Hassan refused to give us her number, her spending numbers. By law, the Budget Committee and the DRA have to put the numbers out at the end of September on the past budget. We have reason to believe that Medicaid expansion was supposed to cost us zero, is putting us in the hole anywhere from $100 million to $150 million. Now, we think
don't say
Health
that
and
to
Human Ser-
people.
Okay.
Don't say that to people
Watch
because
the
that's so
newspapers.
stupid.
Watch the newspapers
so
at the end of the month
stupid.
when they report these
That's
numbers
the
here.
dumbest thing
Then
you've ever
why
said.
is she not
you
reporting
can't
the
get
numbers?
any dumber.
Why
and you
is she
wanna,
not
And
reporting
you
the
want to know
numbers?
something? And you want to
Tell
know
me-
why she's not
tell
going
me why she's
Do you know
not reporting
why
her
she's
numbers.
vetoed the budget?
Why is she not reporting
Why
the
don't
numbers?
we tell the people why she's vetoing the
No, you
budget?
tell me.
Because they
Because it's a
put
business
in
tax cut.
Yes, they put in a business tax cut,
Yeah.
which we all agree it should be. It is
No, you don't.
so high and so large
Okay.
that she turns around and says, "How do we pay for it?
You know
if you
something?
take that
She's
money away,
wrong.
how do we run the state?"
Charlie,
and that is a
did you read,
political
Charlie?
ploy
A
that the
nonprofit-
Republicans use, especially during a Republican year where they think they're going to win everything. Shame on you guys to do
something?
this.
That's you're 100%.
Shame on
You know,
you.
you're wrong. Shame on us.
How
you're-
are they going to pay for it
Okay.
if you
very
take
simple.
all that away?
Very simple. It's already figured in the budget. Charlie House, there was an article, if you read the Union Leader, already came out and said she was wrong. Now, the Senate wanted to work with the governor on the tax. She wants to give pay raises. So they were willing to work with her, and she would meet at the table.
Ladies and
Okay?
gentlemen, ladies and
Don't
gentlemen,
believe me. Read
what,
the Union
what
Leader.
what it comes down to is that we have a high business tax. We all agree it's got to be brought down. There is no question. Republicans, Democrats agree. Republicans come along and say, well, this is a great year for us because the governorship is going to be up, Sununu's going to run. We definitely want to get more Republicans in. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a game with the governor, and the game is chicken. The game is this. We're going to take the business tax and we're going to cut it so much, and she is going to have to sign this. And by doing that, that's fine. But the problem is the money that the business tax brings in, they can't make up. In other words, the money's not there to run the government. The money's
it's
not going
not.
to be there to run the state government. And they're turning around and they're saying it's the governor's fault. No, it's
Yeah,
the Republican politicians.
it is the
Don't
governor's fault.
vote for Republican politicians.
If you're from Nashua, in the governor's budget, they cut it down, your stability education money there, to 60% in her budget. The Republicans brought it up to 90%. Okay, when I said a Republican, let me say the House Republicans' budget. The Senate, okay, brought it up even more, okay, on your stability. What that means is if many of our cities and towns in southern New Hampshire, like my district, we're losing a lot of children. I think this year we lost 300 and something kids, somewhere around there. So that means we lose our education
Oh,
funding.
no.
you
The
know, for
reason
300
why your
kids.
city can survive is because Nashua puts more money into, into
Nashua-
the treasury.
because you got
and
more
we
homes.
support you.
You know, what don't you understand?
We support you over
no.
there.
What don't you
You
understand?
can live in your big house.
What don't
you can have
you
your
understand?
nice roads. Nashua pays for that.
No, here we go again there. They're trying to find excuses. Excuses are
And-
like butts.
and here-
Everyone has one and they all stink. Okay, so give it a break. Okay?
You're doing pretty good
I
today.
am doing good because
It's
you
better
throw
than
out so
last
much
week.
garbage
Look,
on what we did. We
you-
spent $800
you-
million
you wanna know
of what
something?
she wanted.
Look, let me try one more time for the people out there so you're going to understand.
Don't lie. Be honest
All
to
right,
them.
I will be
honest. Okay, be honest.
They're making statements like this, but they're cutting so much away from the business tax that when this happens, if the governor signed it and this happened, if this happened, we would not be able to run the government. But yet, he will turn around and say, Nashua has all this money coming in.
I never said that.
Nashua has that. Nashua
never
has
said
a
that.
school.
I never said
Everybody
that.
is happy. The problem is we can't pay for it if you cut out that much of the business tax. Should we cut out a little? Yes, we should. But it's an election
You
year.
won't even settle for
what
nothing. You
they're-
won't even go to the
What
table.
they're turning around is they're cutting it so much you can't run a government, but it's a political year, so they will let you suffer. Do not
You
vote
know,
for a Republican politician.
I sat down yesterday with Senator Sharon Carson, who's the #2 senator in the state, okay, in the Republican Party. There, she's there's a name for her. She's the assistant to the president of the Senate. What she told me was that during
Constance
the
is not
budget,
the president of the Senate.
no, she's the second, #2.
All right, well, she's not
number-
president.
What do they call it? President de facto or something they call him
I
in
don't
the
know.
Senate. I don't even know what they
Don't ask
call
me.
it.
Here's your-
But anyway, she's #2.
right.
Now, what she told me yesterday, during the budget process, the Democrats never came up with any amendments. No amendments to add in. When the process was over, then they whined and bitched and moaned and groaned and said, oh, the Republican budget. They did nothing to add into it.
Here is a person talking about. Here's a person
I don't want
talking
that
about.
garbage.
Here's a person. Well, you're going to get some of it, so you might as well get some to me. Hey,
Don't
here
throw it,
is a
'cause then I gotta
person-
clean it up.
Here is a person who's trying to tell you that you can run a government in the state of New Hampshire with no money. Oh, wait a minute, you're going to get a lot of money, but you have to cut so much out of one thing that you can't pay for anything else. That is a political ploy. Do not vote for a
Okay.
Republican politician for that particular reason. No other
Okay.
reason.
Tell you
because
what.
you can't run a government on the money that you're going to get.
What to do is don't believe me, don't believe him. What I'd like to do is go to the Joshua Bartlett Center for Public Policy, okay? They're a nonpartisan think tank here in New Hampshire.
Excuse me,
Take
run
a
by the
look.
Republicans?
No, he's not. He's an independent there, Charlie Engelhouse. He's not a Republican. But if you go there, they have Democrats there, Republicans. They don't play the party stuff. Take a look at what the union leader, they just put out on the governor's budget. They said the governor pretty much is using smoke and mirrors.
You know what? When somebody says the union leader has been
read his
numbered
article.
and has been graded as the
Okay.
top conservative Republican newspaper
bunch of
in the
BS.
United States
That's a
of
bunch
America.
of BS. Show me where it says
And
that.
you
just threw out a bunch of BS. Show me where it says that.
right here.
Yeah, right there. That's what I thought. That's a bunch of BS. Okay,
So
tell
you-
you what.
you- so
don't go to the
don't
union
listen. No,
leader.
no.
Go to Joshua Bartlett Center for Public Policy. Go to their website.
much does it cost
And
to
look
run a
where they
government?
say about. Oh, here we
How
go
much does
again.
it cost to run a
As much
government?
as the American people have in New Hampshire.
How much does it take to
As
cost a government?
The Democrats' mentality, as much as the taxpayers have in their
what you
pocket.
wanna do, look, she has to veto the budget simply because you can't run a government with the way the budget is set up. That's pure and simple.
You're a liar.
No.
I'm calling you a liar.
All right.
I'm calling you a liar right now.
All right.
Okay? Right here on TV. I'm calling my friend a liar. And I can do that. You're not being truthful. Because you say, what does it
How
cost?
much do you wanna
wanna keep,
bet?
your governor, you all want to tax
All right,
people.
okay, let-
You're mad
let
because
me-
we didn't
let me-
support the
let me ask-
taxes.
Let me ask you a question. How much are they cutting away from the business profit tax?
I think it's about $90 million, 85.
Okay, how much is that all told? I mean,
Well,
how much is the
that's
business
peanuts.
tax?
There's a lot of businesses. That's
No,
small
no,
numbers.
no.
Do you want to know what's
No,
included
no,
in
they're
that?
taking $95 million away.
Do you want to know what's
Okay,
included in
90
that? You
okay,
don't
hold
even
on.
know.
$95 million they're taking away from running a government. Where do you make the $95 million, huh?
We already did. We already did with the money. We already looked at what our
Excuse
projected
me,
revenues
if you're
were.
taking,
I gotta,
oh, wait a minute.
You know, this is getting. Let me get.
Project-
Let's get it on right now.
Ex-
Take a look at the projected
excuse me,
revenues that came in.
Projected
Am
You
I
know,
confusing you?
no,
I've gone to the budget
It's so
committees.
interesting because 2 years ago you were saying, look, we projected and this is what it was going to be.
And we
you're
end
not
up with a
gonna be able to pay
67,
bills. And we came
67
in
or
with
70.
more money.
No, it was the
That's
Republican budget.
because it's the Democrats
That was the O'Brien
who
budget
are
you voted
running.
on.
The Democrats
that's
who
how
are running
smart
it.
you are. Even
no,
Bill
no,
O'Brien
the
said,
Democrats,
you know,
governor is the one who's running it.
that was the
If
O'Brien
you
budget
take
you voted for.
$90 million away.
That's how smart they are.
You take $90 million away. Where are you going to make the $90 million up?
Now, if you let me finish, I'm going to tell you why.
Right.
The governor's, what's happened is the governor's using smoke and mirrors. In the last budget cycle, under the O'Brien budget, we had to go out 2 years, okay, on the O'Brien's budget. And what that means is small businesses to LCC and could only claim income that they earn $50,000. We moved it to $100,000, but it didn't take effect until the next budget cycle, which is coming up now, and it kicked in last year. So now she's counting in that money because small businesses now, instead of if anything under 50,000, now they can do up to 100,000. Now they can reinvest in their company, hire more people. You don't like that.
You don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. Go to
You don't know
any
what you-
business
you don't know
here
what
and
you're
ask them if they have an
you-
accountant.
you don't
Now
even-
they can
you
go
don't
to
even know what-
100,000.
You don't even know what
Ask
you're
them now if
talking
they can
about.
go to 100,000.
Go to 100,000.
Ask
You
them if
don't
they-
even know what that
Ask them
means.
if they're. No,
You
I
don't
do know.
even know what that means.
Tell me what it means.
All
Tell
right.
me what it means.
Ladies and
Tell
gentlemen,
me what it means.
what he said is, and this is the business profit tax, they want to cut out $90 million. They're always talking that there is not enough money in the state of New Hampshire, but they want to cut out $90 million.
Without taxing
Should
people.
we cut something? You're absolutely correct. Not 90 million because we can't make it up. That means your roads can't get plowed. Your bridges can't get done, right? Your city workers, well, you're going to have to let people off here in Nashua because you can't make up the 90 million because you can't send any money back to the city of Nashua. That's what's going to happen. That's why we have to veto it. I'm sorry,
yeah?
it will be
Okay,
vetoed.
okay.
And you
Hey,
know what you guys,
tell you
you know
what.
what you guys are so, you know what you're so pissed off about
What are we pissed
is
off about?
because you can't
We're not
win
pissed.
this one.
We're not pissed. We
You're
already have.
losing this
I don't
one.
think we are because the people already are
You're
getting mad at the governor.
losing
No, I don't
this
think
one.
we are. Because you want to know
And
why?
it's a political
You
year.
want to know why? We're not winning.
You're
We're
gonna
winning.
lose.
I don't think so.
We're gonna know.
You want to know something?
You
The
know when
governor
we're
is
gonna
catching
know?
so much heat.
We're gonna know this Wednesday.
Okay.
And next Friday we'll come in here and you're gonna be a loser.
Okay. You want to know something here? First of all, the governor's sweating it right now because Manchester, Nashua, all these people are waiting for this money for the drug programs there. The governor vetoed that. The veterans at the state the veterans home, 25 beds, those veterans are still waiting to get in there. Okay? Now, we also put money in mental health. We put more beds. Wait, we put more beds in the Sununu for young kids. We put more beds in mental health. Okay? The governor vetoed it.
You just said there's no money.
No, we put the money in the
Excuse
budget.
me. You put
No,
it
no.
in there.
No.
But
You're the one that's saying.
Excuse me. If you take $90 million out,
That's
how
not.
can you pay for this?
Because very simple, because we looked at the numbers and what we had and what comes into the treasury here in New Hampshire, they can afford
I
it.
see. Oh, so you
The budget
projected that this is what's going to happen.
We projected
and
the
you
last
projected for the last 2 years.
You know something? The last 2 years we projected the budget there with our numbers, and we had either
I'll-
67 or a 77
I'll tell you
million
what.
dollar surplus.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what.
You're wrong.
It's not
You're wrong.
complicated.
You're
It's
damn right
it's,
it is.
Look, it's a political year.
You know something? You're wrong.
It's a
You-
total political
You give
year.
the people so
this
much
is
BS.
exactly what's happening, is that they're taking and they're cutting something down that we all agree it's going to be cut down a little. They're cutting it down by $90 million. That's money that comes into the state that we pay people, like for our roads, our bridges, sending money back to
When he's gonna t-
sending money
you're a
back to
hypocrite.
Nashua.
Hey.
Mental health.
Do you wanna know
right?
you're a
Mental health.
hypocrite?
People who are absolutely in need. And that's how they set it up. They took the $90 million out. They put all these things in there that they said, hey, guess what? We can pay for it. Here it is in the budget. But the problem is the money is not there.
Okay.
If the money is not there, you can't pay for it.
Okay, let me add into that what you just said. Now, the Democrats got their panties in an uproar, especially him, because we didn't support their $20 to $40 million pay raise. That's what they want to give out. If we're struggling in the state, we need the money.
Nice
we,
try.
We want to bring in more.
Excuse me, nice try.
You're going to tell me there's no pay
Nice
raise in that
try.
budget?
$40 million?
Yeah, almost, almost
$40
38,
million.
33 or 38. I don't remember the
38,
number. How much is
$38
it?
million.
How much is it?
Oh.
How much is it?
I don't know.
I know it's almost
Do
40,
you?
32.
Really?
It's between 32 or 40. I can't
Well,
remember the numbers.
you guys turned around and said that
But I'm
you've
telling
done
you,
the
you wanna get pay-
projections.
you
you've
wanna
done the-
get pay
No,
raises.
that's not the reason why it's not being
Oh, give it a
done.
break. How are you going to pay for the pay
The reason
raises?
is they
How do you pay
can't
for the pay raises?
for it.
That's not true. That's
You-
not
if
true.
you take $90 million
It's
out
a
of
balance.
the budget,
You know, some.
it's a typical
You know,
election
will you
year.
listen what he
All
just
right,
said?
that's enough.
We
That's
went
enough.
from
I
10
don't want to
point-
talk about
We
this
went from
anymore.
$10.3 billion budget to 11.5.
Please.
You're off your rocker.
You know something?
$800 million
And then-
more money.
And then they take $90 million out, and then they say, well,
know,
we gave it to the governor, and she can't pay for all these
ki-
things. So treat the governor poorly.
You
When
know
the fact
something?
is, they take the money away,
You
and
know,
they say the money's there.
They're just mad because we didn't support any of their taxes and fees.
Right, yeah.
We didn't want your registration fees to go up. We didn't want cigarette taxes to go up because it goes after the
And you want
low-income people.
to know something? We've got a Republican mayor who goes up and says, "Don't vote
She's
for
wrong.
this budget
I already told you
because
she's wrong.
we're losing $1
I
million."
will tell you on mayor to her face, she's wrong.
And by, ladies and gentlemen, we got this right here. I want to show you this. Is this the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah, that's the Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal. I can't get in the paper if I run over a nun. He turns around and says, I'm going to support Donald Trump. He gets in the Wall Street Journal.
Now, let me explain to you why. No, give it back to me.
Yeah, explain how in the world.
What
can
happened
you?
is the Wall Street Journal called me and questioned me on some of my past comments. And I'm going to, if you let me speak and explain.
Past comments.
Right. Because a few years ago, when there was a tiff going on between Representative Valancourt and the chairman of the Democrat Party, Ray Buckley, I called him in public a pervert. Okay, so that's in here. Okay, so I'm not saying anything that's not here. Now, what they did was they said, I'm a colorful guy, I'm an outspoken pretty much guy, because I called him a pervert. But if you do a YouTube, and I sent it to the Wall Street Journal and James Pindell, because he put it on the Boston Globe also. Okay, and I sent them the YouTubes. And I said, tell me, would you call this man a pervert? I sent them the YouTubes that are out there. You viewed them. You know damn well what I'm talking about. But most people won't say those things. I'm a tell it like it is guy. Now, there's another thing in here about that. Al Baldessaro said that the state of New Hampshire is selling children to homosexuals. Yes, I did say that.
Selling
Wait, listen
children.
to me. Yes. And when I,
Selling children
let me finish.
to homosexuals.
Wait, you're gonna add there just like the typical liberal.
Oh my God.
Let me finish.
We make go on for 2
No,
hours.
let me finish.
Selling
will you let me
children
finish?
to
Stop.
homosexuals.
Stop. Let me explain.
Yeah, I
Under-
want to hear this one.
Under Title 4D money, here in Nashua, you got a grandparent, okay, that fought in court for their grandkids because the daughter had some issues. The state took the children. The kids were adopted outside of the family. I was in the Redress of Grievance Caucus where I learned about what happened to a case here in Nashua. Now, under adoptions, the federal money, Title 4D money, is grants that come from the federal government. It's $10,000 for adoptions. So if you adopt outside the family, there's administrative fees, okay, that the state kicks in, anywhere from $10,000 or more. So in my opinion, if that grandparents didn't get them children and they were adopted outside the family, I'm sorry, we're selling children for that federal money when they should have been working with the family.
So how did you get homosexuals into that?
Because under the law in New Hampshire, at the time it was on the gay marriage bill when they questioned me on this here when I brought this up.
So you want to apologize now?
No, I will never apologize.
So,
I stand by
excuse
what I
me,
said.
They're selling
I stand
children
by
in
the
New
state-
Hampshire
the state
to
of New Hampshire
homosexuals.
for the money. For the money.
So, and there's something wrong with
You know, son,
homosexuals?
you're gonna
Excuse me,
change this
anything
whole
wrong
thing
with
'cause you don't
homosexuals?
even
Excuse
know.
me, anything about homosexuals?
No, I have nothing to say about
You have
homosexuals.
nothing.
But what I'm trying to say,
You're
at-
against homosexuality.
At the time,
of course,
there's a
right?
piece of legislation.
You know something, Al?
Will you
Al,
let me finish?
Al.
Because you're going to change this whole thing.
Al,
You're
Al,
not going to be honest.
Al.
Okay.
Al, come on now.
In the state of New Hampshire, there was a bill by the chairman of the Democrat Party, okay, that put in, if your boyfriend, girlfriend playing house.
We're going to go over about
okay,
15 minutes. Richard, I hope you don't mind, because we got 3 seconds.
If your boyfriend or
15
girlfriend
minutes
playing
more.
house.
Okay, go ahead.
If you're a single homosexual or you're a homosexual, okay, you can adopt.
Okay.
Okay? You're taking kids from a broken family and bringing them into another
So
broken
you're
family
selling
that's not
them,
stable.
You know, Al.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. We're going to be running over.
We
Probably
can talk this another time.
We're going to.
How do people get in touch with you?
We're going to run
We
over
can bring
for
this
5
up
minutes.
another
Okay,
time.
all
How do
right.
people
Can't-
get in touch
can't
with you?
run over.
How do people get in touch with you?
Pardon me. Wait a minute. I heard God. What did God say?
You can't run over.
Oh, we can't run over. No, I know why we can't
How do
run
people
over.
get-
All right, my name is Ken Gidge. You can get me at Gidge World. Not problem. Gidge World, it's an art website. Or kgidge@aol.com or 603-864-9332. How can they get in touch with you?
AlBalthasau.com, or you can get me on LinkedIn, Facebook, 425-6997. Stop by my house, 41 Hall Road.
Do
in
I
Londonderry.
disagree with him today?
And
Al?
I disagree with you 100%.
Yeah, I know. You're crazy. All right.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.